since Babe Ruth hit the first home run in the first All-Star Game in 1933, this game has been a showcase, not just for each season's best, but for history's best. The players who are more than just All-Stars, or even Hall of Famers. The select few who will forever be mentioned among the game's all-time greatest. And right now, Major League Baseball is brimming with players who belong to that elite group. The All-Star Game is next.
Live from Denver, Colorado, it's the Blockbuster All-Star Pregame Show.
Over the last 3 All-Star Games, the American and National Leagues have between them averaged only 5 runs per contest. It's very unlikely that offense will be held in check that way tonight. Not at Coors Field, where for the past 4 years, more runs have been scored and more home runs have been hit, and by a wide margin, than at any other park in the major leagues. Hi, and welcome to the 69th Annual All-Star Game. I'm Bob Costas. I'll be joined a bit later for the game, about a half hour from now, by Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. We've reached the symbolic halfway point of the season, and what a half season it's been. The great play of the New York Yankees, and that, of course, includes David Wells' perfect game. Big interest in some of the top interleague series. The continued mastery of Greg Maddux. The emergence of the Cubs' Kerry Wood. And, of course, the pursuit of the records of Roger Maris and Hack Wilson. We'll talk about all of it tonight. But first, let's turn things over to Hannah Storm and Keith Oberman for the pregame show. Here they are.
Bob, thank you. Hannah, if you had to vote for an All-Star Stadium in this year of the home run, it would be this ballpark, and on top of everything else, the wind is blowing out, bombs away.
Fans certainly hoping for a high-scoring game, and the story of this season has been home runs. But it's a first-time All-Star with no home runs, who has the biggest reason to celebrate of any of the players here. Just days ago, Braves shortstop Walt Weiss was on an around-the-clock vigil in an Atlanta hospital. His 3-year-old son, Brody, was fighting for his life against a deadly virus. But Brody has made a miraculous recovery, and a short while ago, his mother, Terry, arrived at the ballpark with Brody. Tonight, he will watch his father play in his first All-Star game, made even more emotional by the fact that it's here in Denver.
Which is home for the Weiss family. Walt played for the Rockies the last 4 years. Meanwhile, for the St. Louis Cardinals, there is the game and the show before the game when Mark McGwire takes his batting practice cuts. Today was no different as Big Mac sent balls flying into the rarefied air of Coors Field. We'll hear from the man chasing history after this.
And now NBC and Working present America's Worst Jobs. Meet
Is the Blockbuster All-Star Pregame Show.
On May 17th, David Wells pitched the first perfect game in Yankee Stadium since Don Larson in the 1956 World Series. Wells, the American League starter tonight, is a big fan of Babe Ruth, and during batting practice, he snuck a peek at the modern-day Ruth, Mark McGwire, who he'll face tonight.
And he looked a little alarmed when he did so. McGwire, of course, is chasing baseball's most famous record, 61 home runs. He came close last year with 58. This season, he is off to an even better start.
When you're on the on-deck circle, I'm visualizing the pitches he's throwing me. I get in the box, and I'm usually sitting on a location or a pitch. And if I see it, I'm going to take a hack at it. When I hit a ball and hit it a long ways, I really don't feel anything. I feel the ball meet the bat squarely, and I know as soon as contact that it's out of the ballpark.
You ever have a dream in which you hit a home run? Is it that ingrained? Do you have dreams?
I visualize. Sometimes I visualize things the night before, and then there's been times where I've hit a home run and I'm running around the bases and I'll go, I dreamt that.
swing and a long one. Calling air traffic control. He is Unbelievable.
When Pete Rose was going for the batting streak, he loved it. He had more fun with those press conferences, and you know the story of Maris and the hair coming out. Where do you fall in between the two?
I probably fall in the middle. I mean, I enjoy it to a point, but there's a point where I think it sort of bothersome because it takes me away from the game sometimes. But I'm pretty tough mentally. I know I'm very tough mentally when I'm playing the game, but I'm pretty tough mentally about dealing with these things. So I'll be okay with it.
Is it something that is as much on your mind as on everybody else's? Does it matter that much to you?
Well, I mean, I think if I really got close, yeah, it would mean a lot to me. But I have to be realistic about it. I'm not close to anything right now. I'm close to number 38. If I got to where I finished up last year, 2 weeks left in the season, I'd be crazy to say that I wouldn't be thinking about it. I mean, I think everybody in the country and the world would be thinking about it.
But is all the attention getting to him already? The first question I asked him in that interview was about the pennant race and the Cardinals, and he was stunned by it. He said, "This is the first time all year the first question has not been about the home run record."
Well, seeing as they're not in contention right now, he probably was surprised by that question. Meanwhile, Ken Griffey Jr. has been fielding a lot of questions of his own. As you know, he's also chasing the home run record. And like McGwire, Griffey can put on a show. Yesterday, winning the home run derby. However, Griffey likes to be known for more than just the long ball. We'll hear from the leading All-Star vote-getter next.
Blockbuster All-Star pregame show. Blockbuster Video, where you'll find more copies of new releases. Go to Blockbuster and go home happy.
Just moments ago, two ships passing in the night. Greg Maddux of the Braves, David Wells of the Yankees. The starting pitchers tonight greeting in the outfield before they join the battle in this 69th All-Star game, as Maddux could be on his way to his 5th Cy Young Award.
Certainly could. He'll have quite a challenge tonight, as he traditionally has not pitched too well in this ballpark. And the third batter that'll face tonight, Ken Griffey Jr. Griffey's joy and passion for baseball has always been infectious. But this year, his Mariners are in last place, and he is frustrated by losing and the constant focus on the home run chase.
All they look at, he's got 35. That's all they want to know. How many home runs he's got. Not, you know, well, did he make a great play? Did he help his team do something? You know, they just look in the box score, oh, he hit another one. That's it.
There's no way to change that perception, though, as long as you're chasing records like Maris's.
Well, I'm only at 35. I mean, that's still 26 away.
Did you ever think about that record?
No.
Do you ever see what Mark McGwire's doing that night?
Well, I'll hear about it from, you know, the people in the stands if Mark hits a home run, because usually we're the late game. And, you know, if he hits one, somebody yelling, he hit another one. And I'm like, what you want me to do about it? I didn't throw the pitch. I'm not there. I just want people to understand I'm not out here to break records. I just want to be the best ball player I can. If we win every game for the rest of the season and I don't hit another home run and we go to the pennant and next year I get a ring, that's what I want. That's the only reason why I play this game.
If there's one thing Griffey was reminded of this week in Colorado, it was that he has to answer to his fans. Normally a very friendly crowd here, but they booed him mercilessly last night when he accepted his award as the leading vote-getter because he wasn't planning on participating in the home run derby. Changed his mind pretty fast.
Player accountability, usually reserved for old-timers games. We're almost here. Up next, the introduction of the 1998 American and National League All-Stars.
Notre Dame football returns with a bang as the Fighting Irish take on reigning national champion Michigan. Running back Audrey Denson leads ND versus Ty Streets and the Wolverines in the season opener as college football's top rivalry takes the field. September 5th, Notre Dame football is home on NBC.
This is the Blockbuster All-Star pregame show. Blockbuster Video, where you'll find more copies of new releases. Go to Blockbuster and go home happy.
Time now to meet the American and National League All-Stars. Here's Colorado Rockies public address announcer Kelly Burnham.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 69th All-Star Game at beautiful Coors Field in Denver. Let's meet the trainers, coaches, and all-stars from the American League. The trainers from the Detroit Tigers, Russ Miller. From the Minnesota Twins, Dick Martin. The batting practice staff from the Cleveland Indians, Johnny Gorel. Jeff Newman. In the bullpen, Mark Wiley and Luis Isaac. The coaches from the New York Yankees, Joe Torre. From the Oakland Athletics, Art Howe. And now, the American League All-Star team. From the Anaheim Angels, outfielder Darren Erstad. Pitcher Troy Percival. From the Baltimore Orioles, first baseman Rafael Palmeiro. From the Boston Red Sox, pitcher Tom Gordon. Pitcher Pedro Martinez. From the Chicago White Sox, second baseman Ray Durham. From the Cleveland Indians, shortstop Omar Vizquel. Catcher Sandy Alomar Jr. Outfielder Manny Ramirez. And pitcher Bartolo Colon. From the Detroit Tigers, second baseman Damian Easley. From the Kansas City Royals, third baseman Dean Palmer. From the Minnesota Twins, pitcher Brad Radke. From the New York Yankees, shortstop Derek Jeter. Third baseman Scott Brosius. Outfielder Paul O'Neill. From the Oakland Athletics, outfielder Ben Grieve. From the Tampa Devil Rays, pitcher Orlando Arroyo. From the Texas Rangers, pitcher Aaron Seeley. Pitcher John Whitland. From the Toronto Blue Jays, pitcher Roger Clemens. And now, tonight's starting lineup for the American League. First, the manager of the American League from the Cleveland Indians, Mike Hargrove. Leading off from the Cleveland Indians, outfielder Kenny Lofton. Batting second from the Baltimore Orioles, second baseman Robbie Alomar. Hello, Robbie. Batting third from the Seattle Mariners, outfielder Ken Griffey Jr. Batting fourth from the Texas Rangers, outfielder Juan Gonzalez. Batting fifth from the Cleveland Indians, first baseman Jim Thome.
Hell, Jimmy.
Batting sixth from the Seattle Mariners, shortstop Alex Rodriguez. Batting seventh from the Texas Rangers, catcher Ivan Rodriguez. Batting eighth from the Baltimore Orioles, third baseman Cal Ripken Jr. Batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, the American League starting pitcher from the New York Yankees, David Wells. Ladies and gentlemen, your 1998 American League All Stars. And now, let's meet the trainers, coaches, and all-stars from the National League. The trainers from the Colorado Rockies, Dave Shalati. From the Philadelphia Phillies, Mark Anderson. The batting practice staff from the Florida Marlins, Bruce Kim. Milt May, Tommy Sant, and Rich Donnelly. The coaches from the Colorado Rockies, Don Baylor. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, Gene Lamont. And now, the National League All-Star Team. From the Arizona Diamondbacks, outfielder Devon White. From the Atlanta Braves, catcher Javi Lopez. First baseman, Andres Galarraga. Pitcher, Tom Glavine. Selected to the team, but unable to play due to injury from the Chicago Cubs, outfielder Sammy Sosa. From the Cincinnati Reds, second baseman Brett Boone. From the Colorado Rockies, third baseman Vinny Castillo. Outfielder Dante Bichette. From the Florida Marlins, shortstop Edgar Renteria. From the Houston Astros, outfielder Moises Alou. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, outfielder Gary Sheffield. Pitcher Jeff Shaw. From the Milwaukee Brewers, second baseman Fernando Vina. From the Montreal Expos, pitcher Uget Urbina. From the New York Mets, pitcher Rick Reed. From the Philadelphia Phillies, pitcher Kurt Schilling. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, catcher Jason Kendall. From the San Diego Padres, outfielder Greg Vaughn. Pitcher Kevin Brown. Pitcher Andy Ashby. Pitcher Trevor Hoffman. From the San Francisco Giants, pitcher Rob Nen. And now, tonight's starting lineup for the National League. First, the manager of the National League from the Florida Marlins, Jim Leyland. Leading off from the Houston Astros, second baseman Craig Biggio.
Have fun, dude.
Batting second from the San Diego Padres, outfielder Tony Gwynn.
Have fun, buddy. Have fun.
Batting third from the St. Louis Cardinals, first baseman Mark McGwire. Batting fourth from the San Francisco Giants, outfielder Barry Bonds.
Come on, buddy.
Batting fifth from the Atlanta Braves, third baseman Chipper Jones.
Have fun, Chipper. Come on.
Batting sixth from the New York Mets, catcher Mike Piazza.
Have fun, Mike.
Batting seventh from your Colorado Rockies, outfielder Larry Walker. Batting eighth from the Atlanta Braves, shortstop Walt Weiss. Batting ninth, warming up in the bullpen, the National League starting pitcher from the Atlanta Braves, Greg Maddux. Ladies and gentlemen, your 1998 National League All Stars. Tonight, to present our colors on behalf of our joint nations of the United States and Canada, is the High Plains Honor Guard from the NORAD military base. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of the Canadian National Anthem, to be performed by Emmy-nominated actress Gloria Reuben.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all thy sons commend. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And now, to honor America, please join in the singing of the United States National Anthem, as performed this evening by award-winning country music recording artist Faith Hill.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Bob Costas and Joe Morgan with the first pitch of the 1998 All Star Game after these messages.
This has been the Blockbuster All Star Pregame Show.
Now the smashing peak.
With some of the hitters assembled for the 69th All Star Game, you don't need a launching pad, but we have one in Coors Field. Over the last 4 seasons, as we mentioned earlier, more runs have been scored here, more home runs hit here than in any other park in the major leagues, and as you see, it isn't even close. Bob Costas back in the booth, and this time we welcome in longtime All-Star, Hall of Famer, one of the game's all-time greats, Joe Morgan. Joe, we've been talking about all the hitting around Major League Baseball, and rightly so, but now let's focus on the pitchers. Tonight's starters, Greg Maddux, as close to perfect as a pitcher can get, and David Wells for the American League, who for one day at least literally was perfect earlier this year.
Well, you're right, Bob, and one of the all-time great cliches in baseball states that great pitching will stop great hitting. And over the years, that has proven to be true. But what we'll find out tonight is whether great pitching can stop great hitting in a great hitting ballpark. Well, we have a great pitcher on the mound tonight in Greg Maddux, probably the best pitcher in the game today. And his first confrontation against a great hitter will come in the first inning against Ken Griffey Jr. And this was a confrontation they had in 1992. Maddux comes out on the short end. Ken Griffey Jr. hit a home run. The next time they faced in '94, Griffey hit a double. So Greg Maddux has not fared well in All-Star competition.
But just about everywhere else where it counts, you see what he does. Ranking #1 in all the important pitching categories in the National League except complete games there. He's just one behind the Phillies' Curt Schilling. But here's the daunting statistic for Greg Maddux. This is by far his least favorite park. His ERA at Coors over the years is nearly 9. Now you would think when you talk about the light air here that David Wells would be the guy who would find it the more difficult park in which to pitch because he gives up more home runs.
Well, you're right. He throws the high fastball, and that equates into a lot of fly balls. And fly balls in this ballpark have a tendency to come down on the other side of the fence instead of in this outfielder's glove. So I expect a few home runs to be hit in this ball game before it's over tonight.
So Maddux and Wells are the opening pitchers. Just a few minutes ago, though, actually, the first pitch was thrown. 12-year-old Ellis Clements, a member of the Denver Metro Boys and Girls Club, threw it out. With the assistance of Hall of Famer Frank Robinson, Ellis's first pitch culminated the MasterCard catch across Denver, a nearly 3-mile human chain of catch, which took place throughout the city Tuesday and involved 1,000 area children and Boys and Girls Club members. This is a part of MasterCard's program, which donates a percentage of each transaction to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, MasterCard's and Major League Baseball's charitable partner. And the National Leaguers take the field. While we have a chance, perhaps we can take a look at the dimensions here at Coors Field. Because of the thin air, this ballpark literally almost exactly a mile high, 5,282 feet. The ball really flies, but as you see in terms of dimensions, it's not a bandbox. 347 and 350 down the lines, 390 into one of the gaps, and 415 to the fountain and the rock pile in dead center field. Greg Maddux is 12-2. His ERA a microscopic 1.54. He's thrown 4 shutouts, including his last 2 starts prior to the All Star Game. Look at that. 17 walks in 146 and a third innings pitched. Look at that strikeout to walk ratio. He averages 1 walk per 9 innings pitched.
Well, he has a lot of weapons to work with. He has a sinker that he runs away from the left-handed hitter. He has a cut fastball he throws, but he always keeps the hitters off balance with his changeup. He has an outstanding changeup, and the key to his changeup is his arm speed. He keeps the same arm speed on all of his pitches. And let's take a look at the defense that will be behind Maddux today. Of course, Mark McGwire and Wise and Chipper Jones on the infield, along with Craig Biggio. Mike Piazza behind the plate. Look at that, 27 Golden Gloves amongst them.
8 of those Gold Gloves belong to Greg Maddux. He's won them in succession. McGwire, a much better fielding first baseman than people might realize, what with all of his long ball hitting exploits. Quick look at the umpires. A mixed crew, of course, National and American League. Ed Montague has the plate. Darrell Cousins first base. Brian Gorman, the son of the late National League umpire Tom Gorman, one of the great ones. Brian Gorman at second, Rick Reed at third, Rich Rieker on the left field line, and Tim McClellan will call the plays down the right field line. And here we go. Maddux to face Kenny Lofton, his teammate a year ago with the Atlanta Braves. Lofton, of course, back with the Cleveland Indians now, where he seems more comfortable.
And Bob, I think it's important that they have a National League umpire behind the plate here for Greg Maddux.
With the flashbulbs popping, the first pitch is a called strike. Up high, 1-1. Lofton is one of 6 Indians in the game. There are also 6 Braves and 5 Padres. Those are the teams with the most representatives. Down low, 2-1. Of course, there are also 6 members of last year's world champion Marlins. Unfortunately for Jim Leyland, 5 of them play now for other teams. 2-1 pitch, line toward left center field, and it gets down for a hit. Lofton, who has stolen 27, is aboard to start the game.
And one thing to remember about Greg Maddux, he does not hold runners well. Most of the teams in the National League try to run on him because he's not concerned with the runners. He really doesn't have that many that often, but he's easy to run on.
Robbie Alomar in his 9th All-Star game, 8 in succession. Lofton goes on the first pitch. Piazza up and won't get him.
And that base was stolen on Greg Maddux. No chance for Piazza to make a good throw. And Kenny Lofton, playing with Greg Maddux last year, already knows his move. Look at that, a perfect jump by Kenny Lofton. Mike Piazza comes up, he throws a strike, but it's just too late.
The 0-1 pitch to Alomar. He bunts one toward first, may beat it out. McGuire up with it to Maddux, covering, safe. Runners at the corners with nobody out.
Very unusual there, Bob, because Greg Maddux, as you mentioned, has won 8 straight Gold Gloves. He's a great fielding pitcher. He actually stumbled trying to get off the mound, and he could not get to first base in time. Roberto Alomar beats him, and you'll see Alomar ahead of him at the bag.
So now Griffey, who decided at the last minute to participate in the home run derby yesterday and won it. He, McGuire, and Sosa all on a 60-plus home run pace in the pursuit of Roger Maris. Maddux in a first-inning jam. Down and in.
And we've mentioned that Maddux has not pitched really well in all-star competition in the past. He has always struggled.
It doesn't get any easier. Juan Gonzalez will be next. A ball and a strike.
That's the pitch that he needs to be able to control, which he normally has control of. That was a changeup. You could see Ken Griffey Jr. way out in front. The changeup helps him in 2 ways. It makes the hitter wait a little longer so that his fastball becomes more effective. And in most cases, hitters get way out in front of the changeup.
Alomar from first. Griffey is jammed and pops it up in foul ground. McGuire has it for the first out.
You can see the game plan for the American Leaguers right here in the first inning. They're going to try to run Greg Maddux out of this ball game. I don't think that was a good play right there because you have Ken Griffey Jr. up, and a lot of times it bothers some hitters when a runner takes off. That pitch was up and out of the strike zone, and Griffey chased it.
Joe Torre, one of Mike Hargrove's coaches, conferring with him in the American League dugout. Gonzalez concluded the first half with a pair of 2-run homers Sunday night in Texas to hike that RBI total over 100. Ball 1.
This is where Greg Maddux is at his best, though, when he needs a ground ball. He can usually get the ground ball, and if he can get one here, he can get out of the inning unscored upon.
In there for a strike. Hard to believe. This is only Gonzalez's second All-Star appearance. Played in the '93 game at Camden Yards.
This is what Greg Maddux does so well. This is almost a perfect pitch. Right on the outside corner, knee high. Look at that. Hits the target just about all the time. Watch the target from the catcher.
A line drive, foul. A ball and 2 strikes on Gonzalez in an RBI spot, whether or not he overtakes Hack Wilson for that seemingly unreachable record of 190. At his present pace, he's almost a cinch to drive in more runs than any major leaguer in the last 50 years. As you see, he's just slightly behind Hack Wilson's RBI per game pace. Gonzalez does ground into a lot of double plays. The runner goes from first, and Gonzalez spoils it.
Unlike with Ken Griffey at the plate, I think it's a good play to run with Gonzalez at the plate to stay out of the double play. So I think that was a good move there by Alomar to try to get to second base and stay out of the double play situation.
Lofton, who singled and stole a base, is at third after moving up on the bunt single by Alomar, who remains at first. And this one is served down the right field line, and no play on it. The count holds 1-2.
Look for Greg Maddux to come off the plate inside or try something inside, because Juan Gonzalez has been leaning out, reaching out, fouling off good pitches by Maddux.
Gonzalez with the huge lead in the American League RBI race. Mark McGwire leads the NL with 87. Another 1-2 pitch with Alomar going. Broken bat. Maddux has it. Looks the runner back to third as Alomar advances, and he throws Gonzalez out.
That is why Greg Maddux is so tough. He had Gonzalez leaning out over the plate, fouling pitches also. He says, now I will bust him inside. Now watch, he comes right inside, breaks his bat, right back to Maddux. Only the fact that Alomar was running kept him out of the double play. So now he still has a situation where he can get out of the inning without any run scoring. Fastball right on the inside corner. Perfect pitch after all the fastballs and pitches away.
And you don't have to be the hardest thrower in the game. If you put it in the right place, especially with guys using these thin-handled bats, you can saw a guy off, as Maddux did to Gonzalez there. Still far from out of the woods as he faces Thome. Foul back, strike one. Thome walloped 40 a year ago as the Indians won the American League pennant, on an even better pace this year with 23 at the break.
And he was a star, actually, of yesterday's home run derby. Hit several balls into the upper deck here.
1-1. Lofton at third. Robbie Alomar at second. 2 down in the American League first. Off the corner, 2-1. Alex Rodriguez waits on deck. Maddux falls behind, 3-1.
Well, he's being very careful with Thome, and remember, Thome has faced him before, so Thome has an idea of how Maddux pitches, but he's not going to give in and give Thome a pitch to hit when he has a right-hander on deck and a base open.
The Indians, of course, faced the Braves in the '95 World Series. The 3-1. Full count.
Beautiful pitch there by Maddux, right in under the hands. Threw him a change-up away. Now he comes off the plate, inside and up. Look at it. This is off the plate, inside and up. And if you want to swing at it, he says, go ahead. If you want to take it, take ball 4. I'm not going to give in to you.
And the 3-2 pitch. We'll do it again. With Mark McGwire off to the National League and Frank Thomas slumping this year, it opened first base up a little bit in the American League, and Jim Thome overtook Tino Martinez of the Yankees late in the balloting, just before the last of the ballots were counted. Another 3-2 pitch. Walked him, bases loaded. The pennant-winning managers, of course, get the honor of leading the All-Star teams. Never has a manager seen his team change so much in the space of just weeks or months as Jim Leyland, from world champs to a team struggling just to be competitive. Here's Rodriguez. Fouls it off. Interestingly, with all the great hitters, all the sluggers through the years since 1933 in the All-Star Game, there has been only one grand slam by the American League's Fred Lynn at the old Comiskey Park in Chicago in 1983.
For one of my former teammates, Adley Hammaker.
Maddux quickly ahead of Rodriguez, 0-2. In a normal game, when you pitch around the likes of Thome, you do it to get to somebody easier to handle. Rodriguez is a right-handed hitter, but there are no soft spots in this lineup until you get down to the pitcher. Called strike 3. Maddox squirms out of a first-inning jam. No score as we move to the bottom half.
By Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of Major League Baseball. This Bud's for you. By Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. And by MasterCard, official card of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime.
The American League threatens but doesn't break through in the top half of the first against Greg Maddux. And now David Wells to the mound for the American League. 2 of his 11 wins were shutouts. One of those, the May 17th perfecto at Yankee Stadium against the Twins. Only the 15th perfect game in this century in the major leagues. This is his second All-Star appearance. He made it in 1995 while a member of the Tigers and pitched a third of an inning in Texas. He has pitched only once in this ballpark. In September of '95, he allowed 6 runs and 10 hits in 4 1/3, so he didn't fare well. Here's the defense behind it.
And this is a fine defense. Roberto Alomar, Gold Glove winner at short, and Ken Griffey Jr. and Lofton in left. And Ivan Rodriguez, one of the greatest catchers ever behind the plate. 22 Gold Gloves amongst their starters. There's Ivan.
This is just astounding. Ivan Rodriguez has thrown out 67% of those who have dared to run against him. Anything around 35-40% is thought to be excellent. This guy's catching 2/3 of those foolish enough to try.
This exact number, Bob, is even worse, not 27 out of 40. You're right. I mean, that's amazing. 13 players have made it in 40 attempts. Unbelievable.
The Astros' Craig Biggio starts it off. And Wells starts him with a high fastball for ball 1. This for Biggio is his 7th All-Star appearance. The first time he made it, back in '91, it was as a catcher. And they realized he was such a good all-around player and had such good speed, they didn't want him squatting every day and night behind the plate. 1-1. One of the game's unheralded stars.
I think people really realize that he's what makes the Astros go. I mean,
a ball and 2 strikes.
Bob, what you can look for from David Wells is the fastball, basically the high fastball. He throws a curveball, and he will mix in an occasional changeup, but he lives by the fastball.
Biggio will be followed by Gwynn and McGuire in the bottom of the first. Changeup fouled off. It'll make the seats. The series stands 40 wins for the National League, 27 for the American, and there was one tie. The Americans won last year in Cleveland 3-1, snapping a 3-game National League winning streak. Prior to that, the American League had reeled off 6 victories in a row. Struck him out.
Another changeup. That was beautifully disguised. Good arm speed. Watch the arm speed on this changeup. You cannot tell the difference between this and his fastball. And this is just a beautiful changeup down and away from the right-handed hitter. See the rotation moving away. You can see his fingers holding it, gripping it tight. Now watch where the location. Look at this. Doesn't get any better than that. Great pitch.
Up steps Tony Gwynn, taking ball 1. He's hitting .329, which for him means he's slumping. In the last 5 years, his lowest season-ending average has been .353. He's won 8 batting titles, including the last 4 straight. In on his hands and popped into shallow left center field. It'll be Lofton for the catch. 2 Gold Glove quality center fielders. Griffey gets the honor of starting in center with Lofton moving to left. And now the big ovation for this season's biggest story, Mark McGwire.
Mark McGwire gets a lot of base on balls during the year, but I expect David Wells to go after him. David Wells is that kind of a pitcher. His mentality is, I'll go after him. Let's see what happens.
You can feel the anticipation all over Coors Field. First pitch cut on and missed.
That's David Wells right there. Let's see what you can do with this one, big boy. And he turns the fastball loose right after him. I expect David Wells to go after him. He's going to mix in some breaking balls, but this is his bread and butter pitch. This is his fastball. He just reaches back and lets it go.
Next one high and away to Mark McGwire, born October 1st, 1963, 2 years to the day after Roger Maris hit his 61st. Neither he nor Maris has an all-star home run. Broken bat, you could hear it shatter all over the park. And Rodriguez throws him out. So the National Leaguers go quietly in the bottom half of the first. No score after one.
Dude, get down. It's my chair. Let's go. I'm not playing games.
Okay, here we go again.
Oh, Duke.
He's got him right where he wants it. Just a bit outside.
Hey. And this is why Greg Maddux is a great pitcher. This is a perfect pitch on the outside corner to retire Rodriguez after getting Griffey and Gonzalez. And listen to Jim Leland when he comes in.
Nice going. Hell of a pitch, that baby. That's why you're the best, baby. Hell of a pitch.
Leland is just jazzed to have some real players around him for a change after the fire sale in Florida. Maddux faces Ivan Rodriguez as we move to the second and starts him with ball one. Rodriguez in contention for the batting title at 350, a rarity for a catcher. Lines this one to right, and it falls for a hit. Tony Gwynn gets it back in.
And that is Rodriguez at his best. He hits everything to right field. Even a perfect pitch from Maddux doesn't get him out. He goes the other way. He doesn't try to pull it. Watch this location. Look at this pitch. Right on the outside corner, knee high. He just takes it and rips it the other way. That's how you hit 350.
Up steps Ripken. Even at this stage, and he'll be 38 in August, the second leading vote getter behind Ken Griffey Jr. of the Mariners, who obviously is in the prime of his career. On the first pitch, a bouncing ball. Biggio has it to Weiss for one. Easy double play.
When Greg Maddux is on the mound and he needs a ground ball, I mean, he just seems to be able to get it whenever he needs it. And again, that's what makes him so consistent and the best pitcher in the game today. Little sinker away. Ripken didn't try to pull it. He went the other way. Nice pickup by Biggio. Over to Weiss. And there's the pitcher's best friend. 4-6-3.
Which means that Wells bats now with 2 out and the bases empty. 1 for 4 at the plate in interleague play this year. His boyhood hero, the Bambino Babe Ruth. They won't issue number 3 to any Yankee since the Sultan of Swat, so he wears 33 and cuts a somewhat Ruthian figure at the plate.
He also has a great time. I mean, he loves the game. He loves life. He just has a good time. Look at him. He's smiling because that pitch was way inside off of Maddux.
1-0 pitch. Again, Biggio. In contrast to the first, Maddux sails through the second. After 1.5, no score in the 69th All Star Game.
League Baseball All Star Game on NBC Sports.
Welcome back to Denver. I'm Jim Gray. No score as we head to the bottom of the second inning. Greg Maddux gets through his 2 innings. You're finished now for the day, Greg. A little bit of a struggle. How would you assess your performance?
Hey, it's a good outing in Mile High, man. You don't give up any runs. That's pretty good. It was a struggle. You know, I thought Rodriguez hit a pretty good pitch, you know, and Robbie laid down a good bunt. And, you know, some good hitters, man. Tough lineup, tough park. I'm happy. You know, I'm still breathing. I'm happy.
Would you like in a game like this to be able to continue since you are facing the best, or you just as soon sit down now having given up no runs?
Yeah, I mean, it works both ways. I mean, you realize there are 10 pitchers here, and everybody deserves the right to pitch. And I've been fortunate enough to pitch in these before, and it's great. It's a lot of fun, and you get guys like Ashby out there and Rick Reed that haven't had a chance to pitch in these. It's great for them to go ahead and have their chance to.
All right, Greg. Good luck in the second half of the season with the Braves.
Thank you. All right, thanks.
Back upstairs to you, Bob.
Jim, thanks a lot. It'll be Bonds, Piazza, and Chipper Jones to face David Wells in the bottom half of the second. One and one. Not that you approach this game with strategy as your first priority, but David Wells is the only left-hander on Mike Hargrove's staff, so once he's done, he won't be able to make any lefty-righty switches. On the corner, 1-2. And we're told that it'll be 2 innings and out for David Wells, just as it was for Maddox of the National League. 2-2.
Bob, Barry Bonds needs 8 home runs to be the first player in Major League history to have 400 home runs and 400 steals. There's only 3 players with 300 home runs and 300 steals, so he's looking at a milestone here before the season is over.
And a full count.
And look at those numbers. His father, Bobby Bonds, Andre Dawson, and the great Willie Mays. Only players in the history of the game with 300 home runs and 300 steals.
Wells stopping at the top of his motion. They flip-flop Jones and Piazza from the originally announced lineup, so Jones is on deck, and Piazza, we assume, will follow him. And Bonds opens the bottom of the second with a walk. Folks, you can log on to msnbcsports.com for a comprehensive in-progress total cast of tonight's All-Star Game, which features real-time stats, pitching and hitting charts, and a play-by-play summary. Plus, check out a survey of baseball's GMs on topics such as who is the game's best player, all at msnbcsports.com.
Bob, this is interesting that they flip-flopped the two because Chipper Jones is not a power hitter from the right side. All of his power is from the left side, and Piazza is a good power hitter from the right side against Wells.
Got him out in front, 0-1. Jones is hitting .309 with 21 homers and 69 ribbies at the break.
But not nearly as effective power-wise from the right side. He does not have a home run this year from the right side.
And if memory serves, he hit only 1 from the right side last year.
So our first chance to second guess somebody, right?
If Jim Leland can't even catch a break during this season on All-Star night, he's never going to have an easy ride.
He is a great manager, though. And a great guy, too.
Two balls and a strike to Chipper Jones. Piazza on deck. And then the Rockies' Larry Walker. Count levels at 2-2. When you look at Wells of the Yankees, and you think about the Yankees' start, 61-20, and this after losing 4 of their first 5. It's the best mark ever at the All-Star break, remembering that until 1933 there was no All-Star game. What kind of finish do you look for from Joe Torre's club?
Well, they're a very professional group of guys. I mean, they are a great team.
2-2 pitch. Potential double play ball. There's 1, there's 2.
Good job by David Wells to get the ground ball for his infield. High sinker, but Chipper Jones gets on top of it. A-Rod to Roberto Alomar. And an easy 6-4-3 double play.
So now Piazza hits with the bases empty. He had a home run in the '95 game at Texas. He was the MVP the next year with a homer off Charles Nagy and a double in Philadelphia as the National League won 6-0. With his third team this year, began of course with the Dodgers. Brief stopover in Florida till the Marlins could figure out how to get rid of his salary before a single payroll day came due. And now with the Mets. Sky-high pop into shallow center field. Alomar and Rodriguez both out, and it's Robbie. So like Maddox, Wells works 2 scoreless innings. You're watching baseball's All-Star Game.
In Denver, David Wells' night is done, and I guess the big thing here is you got to hit in an All-Star game.
It was exciting, you know. It's something that everyone looks forward to as a pitcher would, and you know, I'm just happy to make some contact there and make it look a little better than a strikeout.
You seem to make better contact than when Mark McGwire faced you. You went right after him, as Joe Morgan said. His props to you, Joe passes on.
Well, thank you, Joe, and you know, that's something that I've always done with Mark, is just come right after him and try not to make a mistake inside. You know, that's one thing you got to do with that big guy. You got to take away his power, and I think the more you stay in on him, the better off you are. And if you make a mistake, then you're in trouble. So that's my theory. Just go right after them and take away their strength.
How challenging is it for the pitchers tonight to try to avoid the home run in this ballpark where everyone is expecting a dozen of them?
Well, I'll tell you, warming up was pretty scary. You know, my sinker just did not move at all. So the best thing to do is just keep it down, and hopefully they hit it on the ground. And I think anything up is a mistake here.
David, congratulations on 2 hitless innings.
Thank you very much.
Bob, back to you. Roger Clemens will be next for the American League.
Keith, thanks a lot. Tom Glavine is next for the National League, succeeding his Brave teammate Maddox. Glavine is 12-3 this year, a 6-time All-Star, the loser of the '92 game at San Diego. He's pitched much better on the road than in Atlanta this season, 7-0 away from Turner Field. A ball and a strike to Kenny Lofton, who singled his first time up. Moves him away, 2-1.
Bob, David Wells expressed some theories that other pitchers have expressed about this ballpark, that his sinker didn't sink as well, and curveball pitchers say that their breaking ball doesn't break as sharply here.
Why would that be?
Well, thin air, I guess, is the only reason you can think of, but that's what a lot of pitchers have said. Great curveball pitchers do not have as good a curveball here. Sinker ball pitchers, it doesn't sink as well.
3-1 pitch sounded like a broken bat, and Lofton walks away in search of new lumber.
The players say that is deep in his kitchen.
It's all the way into the pantry and the cupboard.
Well, he threw him a pitch away, and then watch, he runs the fastball in. Watch this pitch. It starts over the plate and just keeps running in, and Lofton just handcuffed him. Good pitch by Glavine. Whenever you jam a hitter, it just opens up the outside part of the plate because he's not going to let you do that again.
And here's Glavine's 3-2 pitch. Walked him. Up in the thin air of Denver. Aerial shots brought to you by Pepsi, the choice of Major League Baseball from the Pepsi Aerial Cam. So Lofton stole a base in the first inning following his single. 5-time American League stolen base leader, but this year well behind 39-year-old Rickey Henderson, who's a marvel. Rickey perhaps deserves to be here tonight. 37 steals to lead the majors.
A lot of players have statistics and good enough averages to be here, but there are only so many All-Stars. So many spots on the roster.
Alomar turns around and bats from the right side against Glavine. On the corner, 0-2. There's a look at the American League leaders as Lofton edges away from first. Foul back, and it holds 0-2.
And at the bottom of that list was Alex Rodriguez. He's on a pace to hit 40 home runs or more and steal 40 bases, and only Barry Bonds and Jose Canseco has been able to do that before. But he's on pace to make it easily.
The 0-2 pitch to Alomar, who had a bunt single his first time up, way outside. This is the walk year of Alomar's contract, and we've heard that the Orioles are shopping him. That wouldn't have happened in a different era of baseball, a player of this caliber.
There are a couple of guys probably here at the All-Star team that may not end up with the same team that we're at in the first half, or within the first half.
Lofton's not going, and it's fouled back. There are 13 players on the 2 All-Star teams tonight who are with a different team now than the team with which they began last season, who have changed teams within the year. 13 All-Star players. When All-Stars were traded in the past, it was a blockbuster. Now it's virtually commonplace. 2-2. And despite all the great things happening on the field, the tremendous performances, the interest in the big interleague series, everything that's on an uptick for baseball, the lack of continuity and the continuing disparity in payrolls is an underlying problem. The 2-2. And Alomar spoils it. Here's a perfect, almost comical example of that. Jeff Shaw of the Dodgers. The first time he has worn a Dodger uniform is tonight. The Reds traded their closer over the weekend, just prior to the All-Star game, to Los Angeles. He makes his Dodger debut in the All-Star game. There he is. Go figure. And a high pop-up. Biggio wants it. That's the first out on the top of the third.
And Bob, a lot of people will say, well, why wouldn't they make the trade after the All-Star break? Well, the reason is the Dodgers are going to start the second half against the San Diego Padres, and that's who they're trying to catch, in their division. So they wanted him available for that series.
Now Griffey, who fouled out against Maddox in the first. Last year's unanimous American League Most Valuable Player and the All-Star MVP in 1992 in San Diego when he went 3 for 3, including a home run off Maddox. Got the corner.
The amazing thing about Ken Griffey Jr. is that he hits with just as much power against left-handed pitching as he does against right-handed pitchers, and that's really unusual.
One out, one on, and the 0-1 pitch. Misses. That buzzing you're hearing overhead, well, there's your culprit. Sincerely hope Charles Lindbergh is enjoying the All-Star game. The 1-1 pitch. Outside 2-1. Imagine slugging .678, Joe, and only being second. McGuire slugging .769. A liner toward right center field. That drops for a hit. Wheeling around second is Lofton. He'll make it to third easily. Runners at the corners with one out on the Griffey single.
Even though he gets jammed a little bit on this pitch, that's the reason that Ken Griffey Jr. hits left-handers so well. If you watch his front shoulder, it never moves out. Just watch his front shoulder. This is the key to being successful. Look at his right shoulder. Never pulls off. And he hits a line drive in the right center field. A lot of left-handers pull away from left-handed pitching, and that's why they have a problem. Front shoulder right there. Beautiful swing. And he hits a line drive in the right center field.
Another RBI spot for the Major League's RBI leader, Juan Gonzalez. In the first, with runners at first and third and one out, he grounded to the box and couldn't bring anybody home. Swing and a miss against Glavine.
Glavine, unlike Maddox, will just stay out there. He stays out over the outside part of the plate and a little off. Maddox moves the ball around, as we saw him come in and jam Gonzalez after a couple of pitches away.
Went a bit outside the strike zone, it appeared, and now he's in an 0-2 hole.
And that's Glavine. He will throw one on the corner, the next one's just off, and this one will be just off. I mean, that's the way he pitches.
Glavine is the only lefty on Jim Leyland's staff, so once he's gone, the strategy is cut into a bit. Outside 1-2.
The theory is that these are all all-star pitchers, and they've been able to get left-handers out as well as right-handers, so they're not going to worry about the fact of a matchup later in the ballgame.
Plus, it's the honor. If a guy is deserving, it's hard enough. Several deserving pitchers and position players have to be left out anyway. You can't start worrying about lefty-righty. This one is popped to the right side, shallow right field. Gwynn going in, Biggio out, and Biggio ranging to the foul line for the catch. And once again, Gonzalez fails to bring anybody home. That hasn't happened often during the regular season.
Well, this is a good pitch from Glavine. It's actually out of the strike zone. High fastball. You see, goes way up out of the strike zone. He can't handle that pitch. This is why the Braves pitchers are so good. They make perfect pitches, and then that was an anticipated pitch. Piazza asked for that pitch up and out of the strike zone, and that's exactly where Glavine threw it.
Thome drew a walk his first time up. Ball 1. The American Leaguers have 4 hits. The National Leaguers none. The AL threatened in the first and again here in the third. Skied toward shallow left. Barry Bonds loping toward the line into foul ground to tuck it away. In the fashion of his boyhood idol, Willie Mays. We go to the bottom of the third. No one's broken through yet. As the National Leaguers come up in the third at Coors Field, Roger Clemens comes out of the American League bullpen. Keith Olbermann tells us from downstairs that Clemens will throw only 1 inning. Big reception now from the home crowd for the Rockies' Larry Walker. So knowing that he has to face only 4 or 5 hitters, whatever it is, maybe only as few as 3, he can really let the throttle out, speaking of Clemens. First one is high to Walker.
And Bob, that's one of the reasons that pitchers have fared so well in all-star competition. They only have to go an inning or 2 and they can let it all go. Whereas over the course of a season, they've got to pace themselves a little bit, meaning the starting pitchers to go, 7, 8, 9 innings. In an all-star game, you just go out and let it go.
Two and 1 to Walker, who's getting married tomorrow in Denver with most of his teammates in attendance. Full house tonight for what amounts to his bachelor party. What a sad surprise when it's Roger Clemens who pops out of the cake. 2 and 2. Last year he had one of the great years in modern history. 366, 49 homers, 130 driven home, and he slugged .720. He's hitting .331 this year, but with only 9 home runs. Spent a spell on the DL with an injured elbow. Still 2 and 2. I mean, look at that. 1997. That's like a Stan Musial, Ted Williams type season.
And the problem with him, Bob, so far this season has been he hurt his right elbow. He had surgery on it in the winter, and he doesn't get the same extension he did last year. That's why he doesn't hit for as much power. He doesn't drive the ball like he did last year. It's because of the elbow. And he came off the DL a couple of days ago, and he's starting here in the All Star game.
Payoff pitch to him. And he draws a leadoff walk. And now listen to the response for Walt Weiss. That's his 3-year-old son, Brody, who only a short while ago was in the hospital when it was touch and go. Could have gone either way. He contracted the E. coli virus in a swimming pool incident. Staged a remarkable recovery. And is here to watch his dad perform in his first All-Star game. Weiss, of course, is a former Rocky, so the fans feel warmly toward him here. Tenth year in the majors, first time as an All-Star. 0-2. A little bloop back of short, and it drops in front of the charging Lofton. Brody seems pleased, as are the National League rooters.
High fastball, and he jams Weiss, and he just kind of flips it over shortstop. And Brody loves it, and so does his wife.
So runners at first and second with nobody out. Rodriguez and Ripken confer with Clemens. Glavine is a very good hitting pitcher, as is Greg Maddux, his Atlanta teammate for that matter. But it leads me to this question. Regardless of how you feel about the DH in the regular season, can you tell me why, Joe, a pitcher should ever bat in an All-Star game?
Where's Bob Uecker when I need him? I don't have the answer to that, Bob, but...
Glavine looks to bunt and lays one down smartly. Ripken at third, throws him out. Of course, why should Bob Uecker ever bat in an All-Star game is another question.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. And maybe they should do as they do, you know, oftentimes. I guess it's just the way the game is played. I happen to, we both agree that the DH is not the greatest thing throughout the season, but maybe for this game it could be changed. But again, I think the one thing about an All-Star game, this is the same game that the people see every day with the greatest players playing it, and maybe they do not want to deviate from that.
Mike Hargrove decides to pull his infield in. Runners at second and third with one out. A scoreless game in the bottom of the third. And Biggio fouls it off. He struck out against David Wells in the first. Normally, especially at Coors Field, you wouldn't pull your infield in this early in the game. 0-2.
And you're right. And being honest with you, I don't understand it so much right here. The last thing you want is a bloop for a base hit. The reason there are a lot of bloops fall in this ballpark is because the outfielders have to play so deep because it is a big ballpark and the ball does carry. So anything hit shallow will usually drop in.
Did it hit him? It did. It barely grazed him. If you're going to be hit, that's the way you like to have it happen. Now the bases are loaded.
Well, Biggio stays in. He doesn't pull off, and he gets hit quite often along with his fellow teammate, Jeff Bagwell. They get hit quite often. Biggio goes into the ball right there. He stays, and Roger Clemens' fastball nips him on the arm as it goes by.
Hit by a pitch on an 0-2 count. That hurts Clemens a lot more than it does Biggio. Now he has to face Gwynn. A .340 career hitter who has never really shined in the All-Star game. .222 in All-Star play. This is the 14th time he's been selected. Got the corner. McGuire on deck. 2 balls and a strike to Tony Gwynn, who's 10 points behind the Cardinals' Brian Jordan in the National League batting race. That's nothing for him to make up in the second half.
He can make that up in a day. I mean, he goes 5 for 5 or 6 for 6.
Toward the middle. It's off Alomar's glove. A run is home and then 2. Win with a huge turnaround first because Thome had sped to the middle of the diamond. Now he trots back. 2 runs home and runners at first and third for McGuire.
Well, Tony Gwynn is just a great hitter. He's always going to put the ball in play, stays on top of the ball. Alomar almost gets this ball. Gwynn grounds it right back through the middle. Look at this good jump by Alomar, and he just can't quite corral it. The ball took a funny hop, bounce up off his glove. Watch, it bounces up, hits him on the wrist, and that's the reason he wasn't able to get it. He got there in time, but the ball took an erratic bounce. Right there, you see the high hop. Good effort there by Alomar.
And now McGuire. Fastball high for ball 1. No one has handled McGuire as well as Clemens through the years. Mark is only 4 for 47 against Roger, and he's fanned 14 times. He's hitting .085 lifetime against the Rocket.
And that doesn't surprise me, Bob, because the Rocket has a great fastball, and especially early in his career, McGuire had a big hole inside and above the belt. That hole is not nearly as big now as it was at the beginning, but Roger Clemens knows how to pitch up and in, and he also has a great splitter and the breaking ball away. So he has all the tools to handle McGuire with.
Two balls and a strike, even though McGuire approached the All-Star break homerless in his last 11 at-bats, which for him is a major slump. At present, he's on a 70 home run pace.
That would take the suspense out of the last couple of weeks, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't just break it, it would demolish it. Good pitch, 2-2.
This is why Roger Clemens can handle him. He threw a fastball in, so he keeps McGuire aware of that pitch. Now he throws a slider knee-high and over the outside corner. Not much McGuire could do with that pitch. Splitter.
McGuire gets a piece of it. Count holds 2-2.
Not a good pitch there by Roger Clemens. He got away with that pitch. Supposed to be a splitter down and away. This is a splitter over the inner half of the plate, and watch, McGuire just misses it. So he gets a pitch to hit, not the location that he was trying to accomplish, where he was trying to throw that pitch.
Struck him out. So Clemens' mastery of McGuire continues.
And I think Roger Clemens knows what he wants to do with McGuire, even on every pitch. Now watch, he comes inside right there. That's the pitch that sets everything else up. That opens the outside corner because McGuire is so aware of it. Everything away, then back inside, and then here, right away again, and that's just perfect pitching. I mean, and that's why we always say good pitching can dominate good hitting, because if you make good pitches, you can get them out.
Now Bonds taking ball 1. Talk about Hall of Fame matchups. Clemens is a lock. So is Gwynn, who singled off him. So is McGuire, who struck out. And now Bonds, who's headed for Cooperstown as well. Left field, Lofton started in, now goes back, ball really carrying, near the fence, he's got it. National League scores 2, leaves 2, and we're back after these words from your local station. You're watching the All Star Game on NBC.
And now, NBC and working.
Keith Olbermann back at the All-Star Game in Denver with Roger Clemens, and that's an easy assignment there. 3 probable Hall of Famers in a row to face in your All-Star inning.
Yeah, beautiful. It was especially here, and but it was a good battle. I figured that I'd face Big Mac there, and I tried to pour it on and let him swing for the fences.
Could be a tough night for him. He could be facing a lot of determined pitchers like yourself. We saw that earlier with Wells.
Well, again, I think that once you get a few guys on and then Big Mac comes up, you can feel the electricity. And I got a couple by him, thank goodness, or it went a long way. Bonds' ball, it was a pop-up, and it went to the warning track. I had to hold my breath there for a minute.
Do you think this might be a home run park?
Not at all. It's carrying indoor around here, too, I think.
Congratulations on another appearance, Roger. We appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
Roger Clemens in the American League. Brad Radke will be next. Bob, back up to you.
Keith, Roger, thanks a lot. Roger Clemens recently passing 3,000 career strikeouts. Did it in his last start prior to the All-Star game. There's the all-time leader, Nolan Ryan. This is mind-boggling. Ryan with almost twice as many. Better than 5,700. Talk about an unreachable record. That, Cy Young's 511 career victories. Hard to imagine anybody approaching those marks. Walter Johnson's 100-plus shutouts, since complete games are a relative rarity these days. Those marks seem set in stone. Glavin's 1-2 pitch to Alex Rodriguez. Reached for it and tapped it foul. Only 2 shortstops in history have ever hit 40 home runs. Rico Petrocelli of the Red Sox exactly 40 once. The great Ernie Banks 5 times 40 or more with a high of 47. Rodriguez seems certain to join them and maybe surpass them. Fights it off, and it's still 1-2.
Great Ernie Banks. That's an amazing number for a shortstop, and as you mentioned, you know, Rodriguez has a chance to join that group.
Outside, 2-2. All this, and Rodriguez doesn't even turn 23 until later this month. Reaches for it and pokes it through the right side for a leadoff hit. This weekend, NBC proudly presents 2 of the most acclaimed miniseries ever. Friday and Saturday, Ted Danson stars in Gulliver's Travels. Then on Sunday and Monday, The Odyssey. NBC's big event weekend begins at 9, 8 Central, NBC Friday. So we'll have Homer on Friday with The Odyssey. No homers here tonight, despite all the sluggers. I don't know what came over me. Ivan Rodriguez. Fouled off, strike 1.
Maybe the cliche works. And if you're a great pitcher, you can hold down these great hitters.
Neither leading hitter is in this game. Bernie Williams of the Yankees selected but hurt. Brian Jordan of the Cardinals bypassed somehow. They're the league leaders. 0-2.
Interesting how Glavine is pitching to Rodriguez. He knows that he can shoot the ball to right field, and he has a big hole on the right side. Those first 2 pitches were pitches he had to try to pull. See the hole on the right side because they're holding Rodriguez at first base.
Still 0-2. We're in the top of the 4th. The National Leaguers got 2 in the bottom half of the 3rd, and they lead it 2-0.
One thing against him winning a batting championship, Bob, is the fact that the heat in Texas and, you know, being a catcher, it takes its toll over the course of a season. It's going to be very difficult for him to keep his stamina and to keep up with the other good hitters in the league.
He serves one into shallow center field. Here comes Walker. It drops in front of him.
And that's the problem with this big ballpark. The outfielders have to play so deep that anything that's blooped or hit softly will fall in front of the outfielders. And Ivan Rodriguez is a guy that makes contact. It's like a changeup away, and he just kind of reaches out, flips it into center field for a base hit. This is a changeup from Glavine, which is one of his best pitches. He fools him, but he keeps the bat right on line and just lines it into center field for a soft base hit.
He's now 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. Alex and Ivan Rodriguez, not related, open the 4th with hits. Neither hit especially hard, but now Glavine's in a jam as he faces Ripken, who hit into a double play his first time up. The streak is at 25-66 and counting. The All-Star game does not count toward that number, of course. In the air to deep right. Gwynn goes back. Gwynn toward the line and looking up, and it's off the top of the fence, very nearly a home run. Alex Rodriguez scores. Ivan Rodriguez right behind him. The double by Ripken ties the game, and he missed a 3-run homer by what seemed like inches.
The pitch is up a little bit, and Ripken's going the other way, and the ball travels well here. We've already said that he didn't hit this ball especially well. See, the pitch is away, goes out, hits it toward the end of the bat, and he doesn't think he got enough of it. But it's high enough, just not far enough. And Gwynn, by the time he tracks it down, 2 runs have scored. Gwynn knows I can't get it right here, so he's trying to play the carom, but it bounces away from him anyway. That ball hit about a foot below the fence before the... Otherwise, it would have been a 3-run homer.
Pitcher's spot next. Clemens was going to be done in any case, working just 1 inning. And it's the Tigers' Damian Easley who's called upon to pinch hit against Glavin. Game tied at 2. Ripken at second. Still nobody out. Ball 1. Well, Clemens referred to Barry Bonds' ball as a pop-up. It pinned Lofton to the left field fence. 3 hits in this inning against Glavin. None of them struck particularly hard, but the game is tied. Bounced over Glavin. Biggio to his right to flag it down. No play. Ripken moves up to third. Infield pinch hit for Damian Easley.
Nice job by Biggio to keep the ball on the infield and keep Ripken from scoring. Sinker down and away, chops it right back up the middle. It's the other part of this ballpark why it's a good hitter's ballpark. The infield is also very fast. And a nice job there by Biggio. And that's why he's a Gold Glover. He knows what he's supposed to do, keeps the ball on the infield, gives it back to Walt Weiss.
Ripken at third, Easley at first. Nobody out. Infield looks for the double play. Tough to do against Lofton, who's singled and walked. Strike 1 to him. A ball and a strike. Although Lofton's batting average was high in his 1 season in Atlanta, he certainly wasn't himself on the bases, thrown out stealing 20 times. Wasn't his usual Gold Glove self in center field either. Better off back in the American League and comfortable at Jacobs Field. A check swing. Glavin, nice play. Looks to first and gets him. Ripken holding third and Easley moving up to second.
The entire Atlanta Braves pitching staff, they fill their positions very well. And one of the reasons is watch where he ends up. He is not a power pitcher, so he ends up in good fielding position. Watch his position after he throws. See right there, good fielding position. A lot of pitchers, they overthrow, so they fall off to one side or another. And he makes this play and he throws out the speedy Lofton. Look at this, he's prepared to, once you throw the ball, you become a fielder. That's an excellent play. All good athletes on the Atlanta Braves pitching staff.
Robbie Alomar has a bunt single and a pop out. His brother Sandy Alomar Jr., also a member of the American League All Star team, a reserve catcher behind the starter Ivan Rodriguez. Blocked by Piazza.
You see the National League playing this a little differently than the American League did. They are not playing the infield in with runners at second and third. They know Coors Field. They know that you can come back and score a lot of runs, and they do not want to let the American League have a big inning because they're playing in. So a little different strategy here by the managers.
2 balls and a strike to Alomar.
Alomar had a lot of problems with his shoulder, and he was, had a lot of problems hitting right-handed last year. And just watching him here, he's kind of sweeping the bat. I still think that he's not back to where he was before from the right side.
That makes the seats, and the count evens at 2-2.
Alomar was a very good hitter from both sides, but watch, he kind of sweeps the bat here. He doesn't really throw the head of the bat out like he did before. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that his shoulders was injured last year, and he did not hit right-handed very much. See right there, that's not a good swing. That's not a Roberto Alomar swing of, say, 2 years ago. This pitch is a pretty good pitch to hit, but he kind of sweeps the bat on the inside pitch. Look at that. See, he kind of sweeps it. Not a good quick swing here. In under the hands, but pretty good pitch to hit.
2 on, 2 in, 2-2 game, and the 2-2 pitch. But first, Glavine steps off. A lot of pitches for an all-star outing. Up and in, full count. Ken Griffey Jr. waits on deck. The bases are loaded for Griffey. And moving into the on-deck circle is Juan Gonzalez, eyeing another big RBI opportunity. He failed to come through his first 2 times, each time with runners at first and third and just 1 out. Kevin Brown, now the Padres, gets up to throw in the National League bullpen. Glavine to Griffey. Now the 0-1. Quickly ahead of him 0-2. Ripken is at third. Easley at second. Alomar at first. 1 out, top of the 4th. 2 runs home to tie the game. The American Leaguers already have 8 hits. National League with just 2. The 0-2 pitch.
If you're a left-handed pitcher and you have a pretty good fastball, I think the way to pitch Ken Griffey Jr. is up under the hands. If you get ahead of him, as Glavine has here, and he tried to go up and in. But that last pitch may have been a purpose pitch just to open up the outside corner. Ken Griffey Jr. won the home run derby yesterday, defeated Jim Thome in the finals.
Glavine works 1-2. And Griffey fouls it off. With Sosa and McGuire, he's one of 3 at the break on a 60-plus pace. There are 5 on a 50-plus pace and 10 projected to hit 45 or more. So with all due respect to these players, Griffey, McGuire, guys like that bound for the Hall of Fame, they couldn't have picked a better time to hit the primes of their careers. All conditions favor the hitters, especially the power hitters. 2-2. Conditions now, it seems to me, are making average hitters good, good hitters great, and great hitters historic.
Well, you have to remember, I think that's a very good explanation there of the situation, because you know Griffey, McGuire, these guys are all great home run hitters anyway, and the conditions this year are really helping them a little bit more.
And now a full count. And even for Glavine, the master nibbler, no margin for error.
And this is why Griffey handles left-handed pitchers so well. He was behind 0-2 in the count, and he has failed to bite on pitches just off the plate or just out of the strike zone.
Here comes the 3-2. And we'll do it again. If more than one guy surpasses Maris, does it diminish the achievement?
Well, it depends on whether that's Ken Griffey Jr., Mark McGuire. In my opinion, if it's either of those two, I would say no.
Because they've established themselves.
They
long
are
since
great,
established themselves.
They're great home run hitters, and they're great hitters.
Glavine walks in the go-ahead run. Griffey was behind in the count, 0-2. But eventually works a walk. So Ripken, who doubled 2 home, eventually scores the 3rd run. Bases remain loaded with 1 out. And Leland decides that Glavine is finished. He wants Brown. We'll step aside and come back to Coors Field after this. Kevin Brown, who helped Jim Leland win the pennant and World Series last year with the Marlins, comes in. Leland hopeful that that heavy sinker might induce Juan Gonzalez to beat one on the ground and they can get a double play and get out of this inning. Brown 10-3 overall, riding a 7-game winning streak.
And Kevin Brown's not just a sinker ball pitcher, he is also a strikeout pitcher. He throws a heavy sinker and a hard slider, so he's capable of striking Gonzalez out as well.
Easley at 3rd, Alomar at 2nd, Griffey at 1st. 3 runs home in the top of the 4th. 3-2 American League, and looking for more. And Gonzalez hits one in the air to center field. Walker has it lined up as Easley tags. He sprints for home. The throw is to 3rd. 4-2 American League. And Gonzalez has his all-star RBI. There have been 7 men aboard in the 3 at-bats for Gonzalez. And now he knocks one of them home. .101 RBIs at the break. Speaking of Gonzalez, I mean, that's a season's work. Tommy, the 9th man to bat. Big cut, and he fouls it to the screen.
Bob, it showed the relevance of that 100 RBI he had the other day, the 101st. He had two-run homers off of Randy Johnson. After the second one, which put him over the 100 mark, he was going back to the outfield. The fans gave him a standing ovation, and he actually almost broke down. He was just so emotional about it.
A ball and a strike to Tomey. Kevin Brown was the winning pitcher in the 1992 All-Star Game as a member of the Texas Rangers. This is his 4th time as an All-Star and 3rd time in a row. Ahead of Tomey, 1-2. So the Padres add Kevin Brown. Andy Ashby really comes into his own. Trevor Hoffman continues to be literally perfect as a closer. Gwynn is Gwynn. Vaughn has 30 home runs. They're on top in the NL West. The 1-2. 2-2.
I think the key person there of all, though, is Greg Vaughn. And Tony Gwynn said without him, we would not be near first place. Greg Vaughn, 30 home runs. I mean, he has been the big RBI man and the power man for them.
Have you ever seen Jim Tomey take a weak cut?
No, that's a good point.
Remember when Rob Nen faced him a couple of times in the World Series, and the radar gun had Nen in triple digits? Go ahead, see if you can hit it. Tomey unloosened a couple of buttons on his shirt trying. Called strike 3. So Brown gets them out of the
All-Star Game is brought to you by Coors Light. Frost Brew to tap the clean taste of the Rockies. By The Mask of Zorro, a new film from TriStar Pictures. Opens everywhere July 17th. By Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And by Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Welcome back to Denver. I'm Jim Gray. As we head to the bottom of the 4th inning, I'm now joined by a man who has electrified all of baseball in the month of June. 20 home runs, Sammy Sosa. Very disappointed Sammy is because he can't play tonight. You hurt your shoulder on Saturday night. How does one hurt their shoulder while sleeping?
Well, I was, having so many problems when I was in the minor league diving in first base, and the other night I sleep over. That's how it becoming a problem. But everybody know that I like to be here. And when I don't, when I'm not in the lineup because something happened to me, can happen to me to happen to anybody. And right now, I just starting to really disappoint me because
tough to watch, isn't it?
I believe it is. I've never been at the bench before, but I just want to say that I think that trying to get it ready for the second half, and I think everything going to be okay.
In terms of the second half, of course, the Cubs are going to try and chase the division. You're going to be chasing Roger Maris. Do you think about that home run record? Many of the guys here in the National League have come by and say they think that you may have the best chance because pitchers will pitch around Griffey and McGuire, but they won't around you. You think you have the best chance, maybe?
Well, one of the three guys, it is up there having a chance. Right now, I'm not thinking about him. I think that if I play good in the second half, my team can go to can win the division. That's what I'm thinking about it right now. I'm not, I don't have any thinking in my mind that I'm gonna do. If it happens, I will let you know after the year's over.
Can you hit another 20 in a month?
I'm looking for another month like that. To tell you the truth, the discipline that I have right now, everything being real great. I'm going to keep it continue right there, and I think that I have all the ability to do it.
All right, Sammy, we're sorry you're not playing tonight. We look forward to seeing you in the second half of the season.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bob, back upstairs to you and Joe.
Jim, thanks a lot. Chipper Jones walks to start the bottom of the fourth. And believe me, Sammy Sosa, if you do it, you won't have to let us know. The whole world will know. Let's take a look at the pace. Keep in mind, July and August were big home run months for Roger Maris, just as September was the huge month in 1927 for Babe Ruth when he hit 60. So when you compare the paces, you have to take that into account. Griffey hit 56 a year ago for the Mariners. McGuire 58 for the A's and Cardinals combined. A strike to Piazza. Brad Radke of the Twins, 20-game winner a year ago, 9-6 this year. First time as an All-Star, is the new pitcher for the American League as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Piazza popped out in his only at-bat so far. The big difference, even with all due respect to Griffey, when you look at McGuire, he is the guy doing things now least out of the ordinary for him. His career home runs per time at bat actually are better than Babe Ruth. And the last 2 seasons has just been completely out of sight. No one, including Ruth, has ever hit home runs at this clip, especially since he joined the Cardinals. Piazza laces one to center. Jones will stop at second. Now he speeds for third as the ball is juggled. Close play. He's in there. Well, Ken Griffey Jr. doesn't misplay many. Had he come up with that one cleanly, Jones was going to be content to stop at second.
Yeah, great hustle here by Jones. He never slows down his momentum. He slows down, but doesn't stop his momentum. He sees the break from Griffey. He goes, and Griffey just barely misses him at third base. Griffey comes up, and he has a very accurate and strong arm. He throws it right on the money.
Good throw, but he can't avert an error. A rarity, an error charge to Griffey. Now Walker. Hops it wide of third. Ripken over for a look. It's out of play.
Bob, I want to make one point on that home run chase, and that is that last year, the second half, McGuire hit 27. Griffey hit 26. So if they duplicate that this year, they will both end up with 61 or more home runs.
McGuire, unbelievably, hit 61 home runs in his first 126 games as a Cardinal. And he had a 162-game stretch between 95 and 96 in which he hit 70. So this is well within his general capabilities. Walker pops it up. Ripken now into foul ground to squeeze it for the first out. So the hometown favorite can't bring anybody home. And we go to Jim Gray.
All right, Bob. Tony Gwynn has been taken out of the game. Tony has re-aggravated his left hamstring. He's being taken back into the Rocking dressing room for some treatment. They say that he doesn't think that he will miss any time when he goes back to the Padres. He's had this for a couple of weeks, but he kind of pulled it a little bit chasing that ball out there. So it's just a precaution right now. Feels he won't miss any time, but he didn't want to try and hurt it any further and miss time with the Padres. So he's out of the game. Bob?
Thanks, Jim. While Gwynn was in there, he had a couple of RBIs on a third-inning single. Here's Weiss, who slaps it through the right side for a base hit that draws the National League to within 1. Chipper Jones trots home. Piazza stops at second.
Budweiser's always been a good high fastball hitter, and Radke throws him a high fastball, and he finds a hole on the right side. High fastball, and he rips it in the right field for a base hit. See that he's a good fastball hitter and a high fastball hitter by the way he holds his hands, and he never drops them. He can get up on top of that fastball.
Now Gary Sheffield comes off the National League bench to pinch hit. Radke's first pitch to him is a called strike. Sheffield from the Marlins to the Dodgers as part of the Piazza deal. Radke steps off. Two on, one out. A run already home in the bottom of the fourth. 4-3 American League. One and one. Leland reunited with many of his past players.
Both from Pittsburgh and Florida, so big reunion for Leland.
In on his fists, and a pop into shallow center field. Actually, it may not leave the infield, and it's taken by Rodriguez in front of Alomar.
Well, not good execution here with a runner at third base, with runners in scoring position by the National League.
You know, when you look at that chart we saw a moment ago, Leland has had it happen to him twice with excellent teams. The Pirates of the early 90s had to be dismantled. Now the Marlins. You take a look at all the former Expos that are in this game. Remember, Felipe Alou's team led at the time of the strike in 1994. That team had to be taken apart. That's what you hate to see. A ball inside to Biggio. Larry Walker, John Wetland, Moises Alou, and Pedro Martinez, all members of the 94 Expos, who are all-stars in different uniforms tonight. A ball and a strike. Speaking of former Marlins, as we were a moment ago, Devon White, the expansion Diamondbacks representative, is in the on-deck circle. Gwynn had to be removed from the game. His spot due next. That's out of play. Biggio has struck out and been hit by a pitch. He has the second longest consecutive game streak to Ripken, but a very distant second. He's played in 468 in a row. Ripken has played in 438 straight since he passed Gehrig.
But a lot of people are saying it's time for him to take a rest.
Are you one of them?
Uke.
Can't bail you out. 2-2.
That's a good question. I mean, I think we've gone to a point now, Bob, where only Ripken will be able to make that decision. No one else will pull him out.
As great as he has been for the Orioles and for the game, it may have reached a point where the streak has gotten to diminishing returns. Anybody can benefit from the occasional rest, even baseball's greatest Iron Man, and perhaps its greatest image. Lots of terrific people as well as players in this park tonight and around the major leagues, but he is as good a symbol for the game as any. But despite that, an occasional rest wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened.
He got this loudest ovation in the introductions tonight.
3-2 pitch, runners go with 2 outs, and Biggio takes a called third strike. So the National League scores 1, leaving them 1 behind. You're watching the All Star Game on NBC.
There is a saying, a very old saying, when the pupil is ready, the master will appear.
President of the NBC network, Bob Wright, in the red shirt on the right. In the middle, the chairman of NBC Sports, Dick Ebersol, and the acting, soon-to-be official and permanent commissioner, Bud Selig. to Ebersol's right and camera left, and right behind Bud Selig, the all-time home run king, Hank Aaron. There will be a meeting of the owners on Thursday in Chicago. There's Hammer and Hank. And they'll make it official. Bud Selig, who has been the interim commissioner since September of '92, will have the job full-time. Jerry McMorris, the Rockies owner, chaired a committee which for 2 years supposedly was searching for the ideal candidate for commissioner. Rather than disband that committee, they will now assign them to the search for Amelia Earhart and Jimmy Hoffa. But we wish Bud Selig well as he becomes the permanent commissioner. The new pitcher is Andy Ashby, facing Alex Rodriguez. Fastball for a strike. Devon White replaces Tony Gwynn in the batting order and Larry Walker in center. White, a Gold Glove quality outfielder, and Walker moves back to his normal position, right field. One and one. Rodriguez has struck out and singled. A-Rod lifts one to right center. Remember this ballpark and how the ball carries. Goodbye. Joe, when that one left the bat, especially to the opposite field, any other ballpark, routine fly ball.
Well, they've done a study, Bob, that says that the ball travels 7% farther here than any place else. So if a ball is hit 400 feet, it will go 428 feet here. And that's enough usually to get you out of the ballpark. Again, you're right. He didn't think he hit it that well, but immediately Larry Walker took off for the wall. He knew it was going out of here. But this is a good hitter's ballpark.
So a rude how do you do for Andy Ashby. The American Leaguers now lead 5-3. Ashby pitched on Sunday in San Diego and beat the Rockies on a 75-pitch complete game. He says he would have thrown on the second day after a start anyway, and he'll just work one inning tonight, so no problem for Jim Leland to call on it. (0-2) to Ivan Rodriguez. Derek Jeter, the Yankee shortstop, confers with one of his best buddies, Alex Rodriguez. When those two are together, obviously they're not teammates, one in Seattle, the other in New York, but when their paths cross, they're just about inseparable. Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2-2 for years and years, and rightly so. It was Ripken at shortstop for the American League. Now he's moved to third base. And you've got A-Rod and Derek Jeter and Nomar Garciaparra, last year's Rookie of the Year. There wasn't room for him on this year's squad. And you've got Omar Vizquel with the 5 Gold Gloves and headed for 6, who is an all-star this year from the Indians. A wealth of talent at the shortstop position.
Well, I think in baseball, everything goes in cycles like that. We talked about how tough it was to make an all-star team at first base in the American League in the past. Now at shortstop is going to be very, very difficult in the future. And the only true natural shortstop, I guess, of the group is Omar Vizquel. He is a defensive specialist that also hits well. The other ones are just great offensive players.
Fastball high, full count to Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez began the inning with a home run. 5-3 American League. We're in the 5th. In the air, right field, foul and out of play. Andy Ashby is having the year of his life as he faces Ivan Rodriguez here in the 5th. He's 11-5. His ERA is 2.5. He's already thrown 5 complete games, and he really credits the Padres pitching coach, the former A's All-Star Dave Stewart, for turning him around. Walker toward the line and right. Not quite to the track. One out of the 5th. A look back to the last inning when with 2 on, Ripken went the opposite way. Very nearly got it out of here just beneath the yellow line. 2 runs came home on the double. And it began a 4-run outburst for the American League.
And that's the play in which Tony Gwynn aggravated his hamstring and had to leave the ball game. Bob, over the last couple of years, there have been a lot of times when people call for Cal Ripken Jr. to sit down when he was in a slump, but he always seemed to come out of it and end up with good numbers.
This year he's at .258, 7 homers, 36 RBIs. Ashby's 1-1 pitch. Even at the peak of his career, and he was twice the American League's most valuable player, and he's been an All-Star every year since 1983. Even at his peak, he was kind of a streaky hitter. He'd go through tremendous hot streaks and then slump for a while.
Exactly, and that's still the way he is this late in his career.
Hit hard to short. Weiss gobbles it up. Low throw, but McGuire takes care of it. So with 2 out now, we remind you that the aerial shots are brought to you by the Pepsi Aerial Cam, the choice of Major League Baseball, both the cam and the drink. Odds-on favorite to be the American League Rookie of the Year, the Oakland A's representative Ben Greaves steps in. Here's a guy with a dream swing. And dream numbers for a rookie. He's one of 23 first-time All-Stars tonight, ranging from a rookie like Grieve. There's his manager with the A's, Art Howe, one of Mike Hargrove's coaches tonight. Ranging from a rookie like Grieve to longtime veterans like Vizquel and Weiss finally getting their first All-Star chance.
Well, Ben Grieve has been opening a lot of eyes around baseball, and Hall of Famer Willie McCovey says that he's been really impressed by Grieve, and he thinks he's going to be a great hitter.
Three balls and a strike. Not much to quibble with when you look at his form and that classic swing of his. Gets out of a slightly open stance, as you see, and draws a 2-out walk.
But like most young players, you can get off to a great start, and the pitchers will try to find a way to get you out, and you will have to make adjustments. And the key will be how well he adjusts to the changes that they make in the next couple of years.
Arrives at first, where McGuire might be saying, "How do you like Oakland, kid?" I prefer St. Louis, to tell you the truth. Lofton has singled, walked, and bounced to the mound. Takes a strike. As great as Mark McGuire's numbers were, including a 50 home run season and a 49 in Oakland, once he got to St. Louis, man, it was like he went into another galaxy. Hitting 1 homer every 7 times at bat as a Cardinal.
Well, I think one of the reasons is because he says that he enjoys the National League a little bit more. There's a flow to the game, he says, and in the American League there wasn't that flow, and he can stay grooved and stay in the ball game.
Biggio has it. The flip to Weiss to force Grieve, and that ends the American League first. The homer by Alex Rodriguez gives them a 5-3 lead.
Everyone is talking.
For the American League, Mike Hargrove goes to one of his Indians. Terrific young right-hander, Bartolo Colon. New shortstop, Alex Rodriguez, after hitting the homer, is done, replaced by the Yankees' Derek Jeter. And Kenny Lofton, who made the last out in the top half of the inning, is done for the night, replaced in left field by the Angels' Darren Erstad. Devon White will start it in the bottom half of the 5th. They check at third base. No, says Rick Reed of the American League.
Bob, one of the reasons the Indians think they have a chance against the Yankees this season is because of pitchers like Colon and Wright. The hard throwers are the ones that the Yankees seem to have more trouble with. And they've got these two young, hard-throwing right-handers, and Jared Wright was the culprit last year when the Indians defeated the Yankees.
Well, as good as the Yankees have been, on pace to win more than 120 games this year for Joe Torre. Remember, the first round is just best out of 5, no matter who you draw. And when you play a superior team, the shorter the series, the better the chance for an upset. You know, if your ace goes out there and pitches a good game in game 1, you force them now to beat you 3 out of 4. That's a tough task for any team. The Yankees are playing .750 baseball. That means winning 3 out of 4. That's not easy to do. White whistles one into left center field. That one gets down and heads for the wall with Griffey in pursuit. White still runs well. Around second, thinking about a triple. And he is in there.
Well, none other than Hank Aaron says that this is the most exciting play in baseball, not the home run. He finds the gap in left center field, and actually took him a while before he decided he was going to go to third. Now he stretches it out right here, and they did not handle the relay that well. They missed the first cutoff man, and that was the reason he was in there at third base.
Now Mark McGwire is the tying run at the plate. A pitch around situation in the regular season, but here Barry Bonds is on deck. That's A, and B, after all, it's the All-Star game. Why cheat the paying customers?
And so far in this ball game, the American League has really gone after him with hard stuff. And Bartolo Colon does have a good fastball. There's another one. So they've been able to say, here, we're going to challenge you. Let's see if you can handle it. But I don't think Rodriguez liked the location of that pitch. He's going to have to tell him, you get it in the middle of the plate like that, you're going to get hurt.
McGuire's hitless. Broken bat ground out to short in the first. And then his nemesis, Roger Clemens, struck him out in the third.
And you can see basically he's made outs on fastballs. And Colon threw that one, but he got it into the middle of the plate. And Rodriguez says, you can't throw it there.
A ball and a strike. One thing they all say as White leads away from third with nobody out about McGwire: he makes you pay for almost every mistake. He'll seldom miss a mistake. Colon gets ahead of him 1-2. One of the factors as we look toward the second half, how many pitches will he get to hit? He's already been walked intentionally 16 times. Including once in the 9th inning in Cincinnati on Saturday with the score tied and nobody on base and 2 out. Roger Maris, with Mantle batting behind him, didn't receive a single intentional walk in 1961. Two and two.
It's not a good way of looking at it, but one thing that may help McGwire and Griffey Jr. is that their teams are not playing that well right now. For instance, last week McGwire team was trailing 6-0, and they pitched to him and he hit a home run. Now if the score would have been tied, they would not have pitched to him. So that's one thing to take into consideration the second half, how well the teams will play and what situations they will be hitting in. Griffey's kind of in the same situation. If you're leading the Seattle Mariners or the St. Louis Cardinals by 3 or 4 runs, you go ahead and pitch to these guys and give them an opportunity to hit the home runs. But if it's a tie score, you're not going to pitch to them.
Full count in what might be McGwire's final at-bat of the night. And he draws the walk.
Remember Roger Maris and Babe Ruth, their teams won 100+ ball games. And now look at the situations now. You have players who are on teams who are going to be pitched to in a lot more situations than they would be if there was a tie ball game.
Of the 3 top guys this year, only Sosa's Cubs are over 500. Bonds has walked and flied to deep left.
You see the good fastball from Colon. I mean, his ball seems to get there and then jump a little bit once it gets to the plate.
Bonds, a perennial All-Star, still looking for his first All-Star home run. Oh, 2. Fouled away. Bartolo Colon, at age 23, has an ERA of 2.46. Now that's good in any era, very good. But when you consider how high offense is all around baseball, what the average runs scored per game are, in that context, ERAs like these are even more impressive.
Much more impressive. Because usually you give up home runs, one swing of bat puts a run on the board.
Bonds lays off. Mike Hargrove 0 for 1 as an All-Star manager, lost the 96 game. 0 for 1 as an All-Star player, flied out against Don Sutton in the 75 game in Milwaukee as a member of the Indians. Bonds goes the opposite way down the line and foul in the corner.
That shows you how good a hitter's park this is. That was just a line drive the other way, and it hits the wall down the left field line. Fastball up and away from Barry. He goes the other way with it, and it's a line drive that goes all the way to the wall.
The National League trails by 2 as they bat in the bottom of the 5th, but they have 2 on with nobody out. Mark Wiley, who is Colon's pitching coach with the Indians and a member of Mike Hargrove's staff tonight, out to talk with him.
I think what he wants to talk to him about is he is basically throwing all these hitters the same speed. They want him to mix in an off-speed pitch or something different. These good hitters will zero in on one pitch. If you just come after him with a fastball, doesn't matter how good your fastball is, eventually they will catch up with it.
Rolando Araujo, Cuban defector, warming up. Bonds takes it low. Araujo is the representative of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Colon's 2-2 pitch to Bonds. Again, he goes the opposite way. Erstad over for a look and into foul ground.
Colon is a guy